Hi, and welcome to Pursue It All. I'm Arnisha Rogers, and on this episode of Pursue It All, there will be 2 parts. And if you haven't already, you are going to get an opportunity to meet LaToyia Glaze, who is a wife and a mother of 5 girls. LaToyia is also the owner of Just Glaze Ice Cream and Hair Glaze. And through her own story, LaToyia openly talks about interpersonal struggles that took place in her life and how it was a part of shaping who she has become today. Let's meet LaToyia. Okay, LaToyia, can you please tell me a little bit about your journey leading up to the opening of your cafe?
I would like to say that the journey that I've endured, it was a little challenging, but I really enjoyed it. I like a challenge. I like doing work. I would consider myself to be very disciplined. Even as a young child, I grew up in a home where both of my parents were professionals. My mother was a school teacher, and she was an English teacher at that. So I was taught very young to study hard in school, pursue your passions, be articulate, and really just go after your dreams, but in moderation at that time. We were more steered toward going to college, so that's what I did. I'm the oldest of 3 children. It's me, my sister, my brother's under me. We're all 5 years apart, so it's me, my brother, and my sister. So me and her are 10 years apart, and I was the oldest. I was the example. I did most of the chore work and housework in the home, but it made me be a better person, I would say. So growing up in a very structured environment, I think helped shape me as an adult. I did pursue a degree in social work. So I had the bachelor's degree from Cleveland State in social work, and I did that for 12 years, and I really enjoyed it. I first started out working, my first job was in a nursing home. I worked in a nursing home. I worked at Eliza Bryant, and it was one of the first Black nursing homes in our area, in the Cleveland area, and I really enjoyed working there. So I worked there for a little bit, and then from there I transitioned into another nursing home where I stayed there for a couple of years. And then from there, I did hospice. So that was the bulk of my career. I was a hospice social worker. I worked in various capacities, mainly supported families and patients who were dying of terminal illnesses. I went to hospitals, I went to homes, I went to nursing homes, I went to inpatient units. So I really got to see the whole side of death and dying. I often worked 12-hour shifts on the weekends in that role. And again, I had very supportive coworkers, very supportive bosses, and they taught us during that time to really take time out for self-care. It was important because you're giving yourself to people who are at the end of their last days, and it can draw a lot from you. You have to be there emotionally. Most times you have to be very strong. It was a couple of times I can remember actually breaking down and crying, but for the most part, you as a professional had to teach people how to grieve, how to cope, and how to plan for their last days. So it was tough. It was tough, but I was made for it. I loved every bit of it. And from there, I also had a second job, and I worked at Cleveland Clinic, and I did a different end. I did more so insurances, verifying information. I did more of administrative support roles as a social worker case manager. I did go back and pursue a master's degree from Case Western Reserve University, and it was tough. It literally almost killed me just writing paper after paper after paper. I had my first set of twins at that time. They were 1 year old, and just trying to get through school, trying to work and be a mom to 3 girls at that time. It was hard. And I was a single mom. I was a single mom doing that too. From there, I did graduate. I had the 2 jobs that I did simultaneously. And I always had this friend, this guy who, no matter what, I can call and tell my problems to, or just anything that I needed, he was always there. But I never thought that I would be married, because I had 3 girls already. I didn't want to just bring anybody into their lives. And, I was content. I was happy. I said, hey, I'm going to raise my 3 girls and raise them to the best of my ability. I wasn't out just looking to get married. I wasn't even looking to date. I just just was living my life and doing the things that I enjoyed doing. And more, me and this guy, we had known each other for years, about 5 or 6 years, just strictly friends. And one day he said, we started dating. And it was kind of weird because he was like my best friend and I didn't look at him like that. But the more and more I started thinking about the qualities that what I would want in a husband and a father figure for my children, I started thinking he was right there all that time, but I didn't really realize it. So we started dating and it went good. But we did say, if this doesn't work, we'll still be friends. And we started dating and it worked great. 6 months later, we got married. So it was a joy. That was the best day of my life. Literally, I married my best friend. I never thought that I would be married. I never thought that I would have 5 girls. I never thought that I would have a cafe. But God had those plans for me. And so we got married. And we had a beautiful wedding. And when we got married, shortly after the wedding, the honeymoon night, I'm sure, I found out that I was pregnant with another set of twins. So we have 2 sets of twins. And I went from having 3 girls to 5 girls. And I just couldn't believe it. I could not believe it. I had the girls, but I think back, I journal a lot. So every day that I journaled, I would talk to God in my journal, and I would just have conversations with him and just ask him different things. But everything that I journaled, the things that I went through, the challenges that I went through, some of the pain that I faced, he gave it all back to me. He gave it all back to me. Everything that I lost, I got it all back. So when I went through the pregnancy with the first kids, I was by myself with twins. I went from having 1 kid 8 years later to having a first set of twins. I did that by myself. But then when I had those second set of twins, I had so much overwhelming support. I had a husband. I didn't know how to deal with it. Someone who was there by my side with my kids every step of the way. I never experienced that before. When I was a single parent, I lost my first home in foreclosure. I bought a house when I was only 22 years old. I lost that house. So when I got married, we came, to my husband's home, and it was like I got it all back. He said, you can do whatever you want to do to the home. This is your home. So I got that back too. So I just say that to say, be encouraged. I know I'm just talking a long time, but I want to be as authentic and as transparent as possible. So from there, after working the jobs and being a mom and having that responsibility, I started to become very jaded. I started to internalize the problems of other people. At those jobs, I started to see the political aspects. I started to see that I was judged, not because I had a further education from Case Western Reserve, but because I was a Black girl who was looked at as less than. And I started to see those things more and more. So when I would come home, it kind of changed my personality. And I sat down and talked with my husband about it. And I didn't care anymore. I started to become just very brass and kind of abrasive. I don't care about people's problems. I'm tired of people who are on drugs. I'm tired of people who are on alcohol. This person, they don't care about their kids. And I started internalizing those feelings. And my husband said, this isn't who you are. You're not this person. You need to do something where you are you. And to get that person back, this isn't the person. Maybe you need to take a break. So I said, okay, I do need to take a break. And we sat and talked and talked. Fortunately, we were blessed to have a property that has residential living and the commercial living, which are the two storefronts. So we knew that one of them would be a barbershop because it already ran like that previously, but the other one was empty. And he was going to rent it out. And I said, why don't I just use that space to do something? And he said, fine. And that's what I did. I used the space, but I didn't know what I was going to do. So that's pretty much my journey. Just being married, being a mom of 5 girls, going through those challenges, getting through it, being disciplined, working hard, and coming up with a solid idea and executing that plan. Really executing that plan. I work 2 jobs, and nothing here is leased. Everything is owned. I work 2 jobs, sometimes 7 days a week. But the good thing is that I had a great support system. Some days I didn't see my kid, maybe saw him in the morning and saw him at night, but I had a very good support system. My husband was right there. So through this journey, just being disciplined, working hard, writing a plan, sticking to that plan. I had timelines. I knew within a year this is what I wanted to do. Every penny went somewhere. Every single penny went somewhere, and I made that plan and I stuck to it. But after realizing that there is much more to serving, it does not have to just be in a job. And the rewards that I really get from having this store and having the cafe and making ice cream is seeing people's faces, seeing the smiles on the faces. This neighborhood is not the best of places. But when people come in here, there's no riffraff. People come with their families. I get to meet the children in the neighborhood. I get to meet, the parents. And it's a different environment. You don't expect to come in here and see this type of establishment. I pride myself on customer service. I work really hard for that because I know when I had a job and worked for someone else, I made sure I had great customer service. So I want to make sure that when people are in this cafe, that they experience great customer service. I want to have a very clean environment. That's very important to me. And that is something that's rewarding for me as a whole because I can give that back to the community in a different way.
On the next episode of Pursue It All,
I was shopping vendors like P.I.A, Breyers to buy the tubs of ice cream. He said, why don't you make it? I said, I don't know how to make ice cream. I'm not going to learn how to make ice cream. He said, well, you need to research and go and talk to people who make ice cream. And I did.
Pursue It All. Wow. It's kind of broad, but let me see if I can fit it into this.